Listen to this one. Mind-reading technology might soon come from the realm of science fiction now to fact. We're talking about Elon Musk's latest side project. Maybe it's a side hustle, his startup Neuralink.
Well, it sounds like science fiction, but tonight Elon Musk says he plans to make it a reality. He's creating a brain implant that merges our brains with artificial intelligence.
Now talking up a brain implant technology that they just put this chip, I guess, into your skull. And then you just, I don't know what good it does, but it's there, and then it follows you and tracks you. So this way my wife could keep track of my Dunkin' Donuts visits and all the rest. I don't know where this goes.
And Elon Musk hopes to have the brain implant inside a patient's head by late next year.
Elon Musk had positioned this as a way of potentially treating cognitive degenerative diseases.
Right.
But if you actually go back and look at other technologies, like, for example, gene editing, that started off as a way to help with therapies and medical usage, but has now sort of turned into something more onerous, and you sort of worry this goes in a similar direction.
And I've said a lot about AI over the years, but I think even in a benign AI scenario, we will be left behind. And hopefully it is a benign scenario, but I think with a high bandwidth brain-machine interface, I think we can actually go along for the ride, and we can effectively have the option of merging with AI. I think this is extremely important.
Musk, well, hold on,
No,
hang on,
kidding.
because he wants to do trials literally, I think, within the next year. Musk says the company is planning to equip its first human patient with that technology by the end of next year.
What?
The threads are very tiny, and there's a lot of them.
Elon Musk is once again making headlines and giving hope to those like Terry Little.
If it would change her life, I would absolutely welcome it.
Terry's mom suffered a stroke 20 years ago.
It completely changed her life. She's been in a wheelchair since then, and she has had extremely low quality of life since then.
Tesla CEO says the startup he founded, Neuralink, is developing a device with threads as small as a neuron that could repair motor function or provide a memory boost to cancer patients, quadriplegics, and stroke victims, just to name a few.
This, I think, has a very good purpose, which is to cure important diseases, and ultimately to help secure humanity's future.
He can do it. He's a genius.
Russ Hancock, the CEO of joint venture Silicon Valley, believes if anyone can merge human beings with artificial intelligence, it's Elon Musk himself.
This is a guy that has changed the world as we know it with an electric car that actually works. This is a guy that's boring tunnels through the earth. This is a guy that's trying to put people on Mars. Now he's trying to get inside your brain.
It's one thing to bore holes into the ground, which is what he does with Boring Company, now potentially looking for volunteers to bore tiny little holes into their skulls. How far are they from potentially getting the approval to do that?
Well, you know, they're claiming that they would like to start human trials next year. I mean, the first batch of people that do this are not going to be typical consumers. It's going to be people who've been paralyzed and really have no other options. And so, you know, according to Neuralink, they want to start these trials near the end of next year. The big issue, of course, is the FDA and whether they would approve something like this. Neuralink has a really high bar.
My guest today is one of the most famous whistleblowers of our time, a man who revealed the existence of US mass surveillance programs spying on citizens all around the world, Edward Snowden, former CIA employee and NSA contractor. Edward Snowden, thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure.
I was talking in the context of this whole story about surveillance and information collection, mass scale monitoring and collecting profiles of everyone's private lives, both by the government and corporations, that this would be a 2-week story because the media would very quickly lose their focus on it. The governments would act to suppress reporting on this information. And what we actually saw was all of the government's attempts to sort of hide information or explain away their abuses actually led to further reporting and further interest. And now everybody in the world understands generally what's going on. Now, the problem is having a general understanding of something that's so technical and complex is not enough to protect yourself. But what's really changed most dramatically from the world of 2013 to the world of today is everybody is aware that Facebook is up to no good, that Google is up to no good, that all of these companies are really trying to shape and influence not just our societies, but our lives, our buying habits, every kind of general behavior that we have in a deeply targeted and personal way. And it's technology that is enabling this and making it all possible for the first time. Now, again, that hasn't solved the problem, but the first step to solving any problem is we have to create a shared sense of understanding. We need a common set of facts, and today we have that.
1 year ago, Tucker spoke to Gordon Chang about this system. Watch.
What we have in China is that there's so many people there, of course. The government wants to control them, and so what they're doing is they're collecting data. They're collecting data from 600 million cameras that they'll have in place in 2020. They're going to have, traffic checks, all the rest of it. This is being rolled out, and it's being rolled out very quickly. So, for instance, you've got people who are not allowed to board planes and trains because their social credit score is far too low.
I'm not kidding. For example, if you have frivolous spending, that'll work against you in China. Smoking in a smoke-free zone, that'll cost you points. Is that the society you want to live in? Guess what? It's coming to America, courtesy of Silicon Valley. Brett Larson says it's true, and he is on Fox News Headlines 24/7. Brett, that's scary stuff in China. It started in 2014. They're rolling it out now.
Yes.
What do you mean it's heading here?
It's heading here, and it's kind of already here. And when you think about it, we share a lot of personal information on Facebook. We share when we're out with our friends. We might share when we're out having drinks with our friends. Maybe we're on the beach. Maybe we're having a fun vacation.
A traffic light with facial recognition. Cross on red, face a public shaming, and lose social credit points. In some Chinese cities, it's already a reality. Even those who sort their trash incorrectly have to reckon with point deductions in some places, as well as the penalties for low scores, like losing the right to ride the fast train. The point system is scheduled for full implementation across China by the end of 2020.
Well, last week, technology company Apple was forced to apologise after it emerged that external contractors had listened to thousands of snippets of conversations between Apple users and Siri, Apple's voice-activated assistant. Now, it might have been a headline that some of you missed, but it was a headline that didn't surprise me at all. I worked for communications ministers, two of them, one in the Howard years and one afterwards, and Apple says that listing was in fact research, and they undertook it to improve Siri's responses to human requests. But from a company that prides itself on user privacy, it was a particularly embarrassing revelation. Of course, so much data is being harvested by technology companies in today's modern connected age that I doubt many people have a true handle on what's being collected about them.
I think, Peter, the big development is the machines not only can identify people, cameras can not only identify people, like up to 15 people in one scene, but they can also work out what you're doing. So in places like China, for example, which, I suppose is this dystopian example of what we don't want to have happening, they're using it for jaywalking. There was one city that was in a report I read last year where they had a big monitor up at the intersection, and if anyone jaywalked or went walked through the don't walk period, they would be shamed on this big TV, and it was the actual computer attached to the cameras that was making those choices. Now, this can cause mistakes, and in that case it did. But the other point is that local governments kind of adopt their own systems with this, and they're starting to in the Northern Territory and Queensland. Stadiums in Queensland are installing cameras with AI capability. It's being looked at in Perth as well. And you've got everyone collecting data and analysing it, and maybe under the radar swapping it with each other, and that becomes a really big issue in terms of any vestige of privacy.
the biggest mistake that I see artificial intelligence researchers making is assuming that they're intelligent. Yeah, they're not compared to AI. And so a lot of them cannot imagine something smarter than themselves, but AI will be vastly smarter, vastly. So what do you do with a situation like that? What do you do with a situation like that? I'm not sure, you know. I hope they're nice. I mean, I have obviously some, you know, I think in a situation where if you know, the old saying, if you can't beat them, join them. You know, that's what Neuralink is about. Is like, can we go along for the ride with AI? I mean, I really think that there should be other companies like Neuralink, essentially to create a high bandwidth interface to the brain. Because right now we are already a cyborg. People don't realize we are already a cyborg because we are so well integrated with our phones and our computers. The phone is almost like an extension of yourself. If you forget your phone, it's like a missing limb. But the bandwidth, the communication bandwidth to the phone is very low, especially input. So, in fact, input bandwidth to computers has actually gone down because of typing with 2 thumbs as opposed to 10 fingers. There's a big reduction in bandwidth. Input bandwidth has gone up because of video and imagery. I mean, I'm a naturally optimistic person, to be clear. I'm not saying, hey, doom and gloom. I'm just saying this is the apparent pattern. The rate of change of technology is incredibly fast. It is outpacing our ability to understand it. Well, I'm not sure, is that good or bad? I don't know. I mean, this is the first time in the 4.5 billion year history of Earth that it's been possible to extend life beyond Earth. Before this, it was not possible. How long will this window be open? It may be open for a long time, or it may be open for a short time. I think it would be wise to assume that it is open for a short time. I think we should not take it for granted that consciousness will continue, because we have not encountered any aliens. Where are the aliens? This is the Fermi paradox. This is one of the most important questions. How come we've not found any aliens? There's people out there who think we found aliens. Trust me, I would know. We have not. Okay. People ask me, you've been to Area 51? Okay, please. SpaceX actually has Area 59. It's even better, 8 better than 51. So, among the set of actions we can take that are likely to increase the scope and scale of consciousness such that we are better able to understand the nature of the universe, one of those actions is to become a multi-planet species or ensure that life is multiplanetary. But close the loop on being less wrong about future. I would say that's the right way to think about education. I mean, down the road with a Neuralink, you can just upload any subject instantly. So it'll be like the Matrix. You want to fly a helicopter, no problem. Well, helicopters will fly themselves, but you know, if you wanted to do whatever, any given skill, you just upload it instantly. I mean, the way education works right now, it's extremely low bandwidth. It's extremely slow. Lectures are the worst, really. It's like very slow. Yeah, just try to predict the future with less error. This is very hard, as you were saying. I'm not sure it's 99.9%, but it's not very good, generally, our prediction of the future. But I think often people don't try. The first thing is try. If you don't try, okay, you know, you got to try, and then adjust based on the error of your prior predictions.
It's great human beings make mistakes. It's great human beings learn from mistakes. It's great to die.
Haha, that's probably true.
Thank you. Yeah, you cannot live long.
I just like, yeah.
Thank you.
Fight for the light of consciousness.
Thank you, Nice talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you so much for this very inspiring and futuristic, very informative dialogue. It seems it's the typical dialogue.